truth is, being a woman with high standards is going to cost you. In this episode, I'm going to share with you exactly why it's not even about having high standards. It's actually about being the woman that can be uncomfortable in holding them. Everyone tells you to have high standards and raise your standards, yet no one actually tells you what it takes to be that woman who can actually hold them and not acquiesce and not collapse and not give herself the hard time and the story that, I'm too much or nothing's ever good enough for me. And, that was very much a narrative that I grew up with. I grew up believing that I was the difficult one. I thought that I was the one that was always difficult, always the outsider, always the one that had something to say, the challenger. And full transparency, back then I had flavors of it because when I was younger, no one actually gave me permission to feel. And truth be told, that made me a very, very angry child. But when you walk around thinking that who you are innately isn't good enough and that everyone else is against you rather than with you, it's really easy then to lower your standards in life. And I saw this happen absolutely everywhere, from work to relationships. I saw myself constantly trying to be something to others. And when I first started understanding the concept of standards, I didn't quite really fully understand what they were because no one ever actually taught me about standards, about having values, about really, really understanding what felt good for me when it comes to relationships. And it meant that all the way through my 20s, I was just kind of like, get through life, understand what I wanted. I was very career focused. I was very externally focused. And there was not much intention or attention to how I felt inside. It was just a constant running of the program of like, what can I do to feel better? Which of course meant like, have a great relationship with a man and earn money and have a successful career and get on the property ladder. All of those things were very much the things that I went to in order to think that I was gonna feel a different way on the other side of those things. What transpired when I got into the work that I do now, I started to realize that, standards are actually like a sense of feeling within yourself. Yes, they get to be measured outside of us, 100%. We get to hold standards for ourselves, and we also get to invite others to meet us with our standards. But essentially, it comes from an inherent feeling tone. It comes with feeling really deeply secure within yourself, really self-honoring of yourself, which is why like a lot of the noise on the internet is about having high standards. Most of the time, it means stating them and requesting them for others, and that's simply not true. Because the first standard that you should always hold is a standard within yourself. So if you collapse inside of your own mind by thinking I'm too much in asking for something, or I'm not good enough, or something outside of me isn't meeting me in the way in which I want them to be met, it's always an invitation to really start looking like, what is the relationship that I have with myself? Because if I want a relationship that is true, is grounded, is loving, is secure, is honest, and is a high standard, then you bet sure as hell that I have got to start looking underneath at where I'm not allowing myself to be a stand for my own standards. And I think one of the things around standards and boundaries, because both of those, they coincide and they exist together, like you can't hold a boundary if you don't have standards. But one of the interesting things that I have found that no one ever told me, and I really, really wish that back when I was this, 20-something, trying to figure myself out, trying to understand like why I was going wrong in relationships, like why was I attracting these emotionally unavailable men and these men that would, love bomb me one minute and then gaslight me the next and then ghost me the next. I just really couldn't understand why I was attracting those type of men until I understood that I had to be that woman that upheld my own standard. So I got really honest with myself. I started looking at all the places in my life that I was selling myself short and I wasn't being true to myself and I wasn't being in integrity with myself first. because we can go all around the houses all day long making these requests from men like, I want you to lead, I want you to take me out, I want you to ask me out, I want you to ask me questions, I want you to initiate intimacy, I want you to surprise me, like all of these wonderful things that so many women love to receive from a man. They're great requests, but underneath that can also be a void where that woman is not really actually honoring herself. Not necessarily in the same ways in which a man would. I mean, I do take myself out on dates. I do spend time with myself. This has all been in my 30s, now in my 40s. Back when I was in my 20s, I didn't have a clue. But until we can really see the way in which we're treating ourselves honestly, really, really honestly, then it's going to be really, really hard to walk around and be the woman that has standards and ooze it. Like, not that you have to go around telling everyone, this is my standard, that's my standard, this is my standard, that's what I like, that's what I don't like. People will feel it on you. You won't need to ask. You won't need to request. Most of the time, people will just feel what you are and are not available for. And this is mastery, and it could take you a lifetime. But the point is that back when I was in my 20s and I was running around town trying to find everything outside of me to feel good about myself, when really I was just a woman that was just operating from such low standards. And the honest thing is that I was a binge eater. I was a binge eater that was dressed up as a woman who was healthy. They would see Anna going to the gym all the time. They would see Anna ordering healthy things off the menu. They would see Anna talking about like health regimes and biohacking, yada, yada, yada. But what they wouldn't see is behind closed doors is that Anna would binge eat every single night. What they wouldn't see behind closed doors is that inside of the confines of my own mind, I would pressurize myself, judge myself, think terrible thoughts about myself. I was on such a ruminating loop of self-hatred and negativity. But on the outside, dressed as a healthy, confident woman. So what you can see just in that is I wasn't being a woman that was a high standard woman. On the outside, it might have looked like that, but on the inside, I was abandoning myself. What I really, really, really wished that I'd have known back when I first started to really take a look at myself in this way and really get honest with myself about the way in which I was treating myself. I really wish that someone would have said, hey, you get to be a woman of high standards, and you can be, absolutely. But you've got to be really, 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 really honest with yourself, and that's going to come with some costs. Why? Because all of a sudden, I'm the one that has to steward this ship. I'm the one that actually has to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. And what that means is it means completely changing your entire identity. So I had to go from the woman that was giving myself hell inside of my own mind to finding peace and heaven within it. And it doesn't happen overnight. I had to be the woman that said no to the chocolate bar and said yes to the salad, because I said that I was a woman that valued my health. I said that I was a woman that wanted longevity. I said that I was a woman that wanted to thrive in my 40s and my 50s and my 60s. And hi, I'm in my 40s now. And if it hadn't been for making those changes back then, which were really hard and really uncomfortable, like, I don't know if you have ever been in that situation where you're standing at the supermarket shelf and there's all of these chocolates and you are a woman that loves chocolates. Hi, that's me, right? It's so uncomfortable standing there and being the woman that walks away and says no. And not even just walking away and being the woman that says no, but then being able to be the woman that walks away, says no, and celebrates herself for doing that. That is so hard. We've not been raised in a society where women and little girls celebrating themselves is just normal, and it's also encouraged. So, it's going to cost being the woman that is so used to giving herself a hard time, which I know sounds crazy that we're in 2026 and it's a cost of being able to crack away from the woman that pressurizes herself, that doubts herself, that gives herself a hard time, that judges herself, but that is so normal these days. It's normal, it's common, and it's also not actually healthy, and it's not how it should be. But actually, when it now becomes that that's going to cost us because we've formed a whole identity around it and we've shaped our entire existence around being that kind of woman, that then when we even think about celebrating ourselves and changing our standards in any kind of way, it almost becomes like so impossible to our brain, because it then means that we're going to have to work really hard in changing those neural pathways. This work is literally reshaping your entire biology. It is not just mindset. It is not just think your way to positivity, or think your way to seeing yourself as the worthy woman, or think your way to like ultimate unwavering confidence. No, it means you're actually going to have to start changing things. You're going to have to change your behaviors. Like, I can't even tell you the amount of times that I had to stand there in a supermarket and be like, nope, nope, and then pick something up from the shelf, take it all the way to the counter, have everything being checked through, and then have to say to the woman, hold it, I'm just going to put this back or put it to the side, and be seen as the woman that can't have control over the chocolate, that she puts it to the side of the checkout counter. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I had to do that. And it was the discomfort in putting away the thing that my body wanted so much, the chocolate, the sugar, the rush, all of the things. And number two, be seen as the weak woman that can't even have a chocolate bar without it sending her into a frenzy, because that's what I told myself that putting that chocolate bar down represented. But then over time, it became really, really liberating for me to be like, you know what? I have a problem with this, and it's no longer going to be the thing that has power over me, putting it back. And I could tell you like hundreds of stories like that. Standards that I've had to chip away at time after time after time, day after day after day. The amount of times that I practiced saying no to a guy on a date to his face is incredible. But I had to do it because I had to start being the woman that would be her truth, speak her word, and not be the woman that inside of my own mind being like, oh no, I can't reject him, because if I reject him, then he's going to feel bad, and then he's going to feel something about me, and I can't stand that. A, I could hurt a person's feelings, and B, I could also then be seen as a villain, be seen as being the woman that is too much, too loud, too opinionated, too forceful. I had to move through so many experiences like that. And genuinely, no one really talks about the experiences that you have to go through, not just the big ones, like big breakups or big life changes, but the small everyday ones. And that's where change really happens. I'm reminded of something my mentor once said to me, and I always share this when relevant with my clients as well, is that transformation happens in the crevices. It happens in the small ways in which you might see as seemingly insignificant, like every single time me putting that chocolate bar away, or every single time I was on a date and I would share with a guy, you know, I have really, really somewhat enjoyed this experience, but for me, like, taking this any further just isn't in alignment. Like, the amount of times that I had to have those small, uncomfortable 1 minute moments actually stacked inside of my body as being the woman that honors her truth and is the woman that is raising her standards, because in every single one of those micro moments, that's exactly what I was doing. You don't see it in those small moments. Like, you feel the nerves, you feel the anxiety, you feel that, oh, maybe I should just have like one more chocolate bar, or maybe I should just go on a second date with this guy. You feel those moments, but then stacked over time, you're like, woo, shit, I'm built differently. Because of all of those experiences that I actively chose different, and I chose myself in the way in which I desired to show up versus the default programming of the woman that would just self-abandon, say yes to the guy because she felt guilty that she was going to hurt his feelings and she didn't want him to feel rejected, and be no to the woman that is going to just eat the chocolate bar and not have her health as a high priority. Those moments built me differently. And it's a feeling, you can feel it on people. And the cost of being a woman with high standards is so high, and so it should be. For me personally, like doing this work and really looking at all of these areas of my life where I was ultimately lowballing myself, I lost friendships. I've lost tons of friendships. I have experienced some really, really challenging moments with women that weren't available for my new standards. They walked away. And I had to feel the pain of like, fuck, am I going in the wrong direction here? Is it me being too much? Is it me being too challenging? Am I being defensive? I had to go through so much heartbreak when it comes to my relationships with women and with men, of walking away from men that I was like, fuck, on paper, he's so great. But my body is just like, no, that is not the person for you. You're not going in the same directions in life. And every single time it's been so uncomfortable and so painful. And truth be told, lonely. It is lonely being in this work of like, I need to rebuild the relationship with myself. And what that's going to look like is that everything outside of me is going to have to change in certain seasons. And still being a yes to that is so uncomfortable, like knowing it's going to be challenging, but still doing it. That is in its own way just such a mind bend. And, people will leave. People will eliminate themselves from your life because they don't understand why you want to change. They don't understand your new belief systems or your new ways of wanting to do things. And from me to you, I just want to let you know that is okay. Not everyone is supposed to be in your life forever. And not everyone is going to serve and support you in the way in which you need to if you truly, truly do want to change something in your life and you want to feel differently about yourself. I hope that you really took something from this episode. I really love talking standards. It's probably the favorite part of the work that I do, in full transparency. Standards and boundaries, just at the core, is just like so beautiful, especially when you combine them with the body work and the feeling and your nervous system, and just really seeing where, you can rebuild yourself and create even more internal safety by being a woman that has high standards and great boundaries to honor them as well. And if you did, then I would love to know what landed for you in this episode. Please dive into my DMs on Instagram, or feel free to leave a comment on this podcast. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed, then I would love to see you continue on this journey with me.